Hello, Saul callers. My name is Cherokee McAnelly, head of entertainment at Tumblr, who recently discovered that I've had not 3 concussions, but 5.
Cherokee, I can't believe this. I'm Lauren Shippen, professional writer, who I feel like I should just say I've never had a concussion before, but I have had scarlet fever, which I feel like, is kind of spicy. So
I thought only Victorian children got scarlet fever.
That's what I thought too. And then I was 24 and I got scarlet fever.
24?
Yes.
What? How did you get scarlet fever? Where did you get it?
It's a much longer story, but basically scarlet fever is just like advanced strep throat. Like it's just what your body does when your strep throat is like out of control, and so that's what happened to me. And it was really bizarre. But anyway, hi.
Well, I'm so sorry that happened to you. I'm glad you recovered, and I'm glad you didn't get scarlet fever in the Victorian era.
Thanks.
Modern medicine.
Yeah. I'm glad you're doing fine with those 5 concussions. It seems.
Thanks so much. Look, I have a horrible short-term memory, I will say, Lauren. It's truly horrific, and I always wondered why. But, look, otherwise doing great. Anyway, and this is Dashboard Diaries, a podcast for you, the folks who are in this internet bunker with us. We talk about what's going on our favorite hell site, get into what we like to call Tumblr, do fandom deep dives, and share the times when we've gone feral over a new ship. So what has your last week on Tumblr been like, Lauren?
Well, I feel like we are in a fun moment on Sunday nights / Mondays, and we're recording this on Monday, May 1st, because of the particular soup of pain that HBO is serving up every Sunday night.
Soup.
I don't know why I chose that phrase to describe it.
I love that.
But my dash has been a lot of Succession and a lot of Barry, which are 2 shows that I love and 2 shows which are currently airing on HBO on Sunday nights, and it's their final season for both of them. Last night's Barry episode was soul-crushing. And so it's been very fun to, share in this deep weekly pain that I am going through with other people. Like, I think that that's one of Tumblr's greatest strengths, is the fact that the community of TV fandom means that I do not have to suffer alone. So that has been what my Tumblr has been like the last couple of weeks, is just a lot of pain. How about you, Cherokee? I hope something lighter.
As a very active member of the Barry and Succession fandoms, I would say it has not been much better.
Fair.
I have watched last night's episode of Succession. I haven't yet watched the new episode of Barry. That show is so intense, I often procrastinate watching it because it is truly so intense. It's one of those shows where, I love it. I think it's great. It is so hard for me to watch.
Yes, I will say this about last night's episode. This is not a spoiler, but I think just to you can prepare yourself. There's a couple of episodes of Barry, probably maybe like 1 a season, where my partner and I will watch it, and we'll end up watching all of the credits all the way through because neither of us has the wherewithal to grab the remote and exit the program. Last night was one of those episodes where we just sat through all of the credits. So cool. Just know that going into it.
Great. Can't wait. Gonna do that tonight.
Expect to sit on your couch for a little while afterwards, not moving or saying anything.
Just staring into the abyss. Got it. Oh my god!
I mean, in terms of watching things that sometimes make us stare into the abyss, have you watched any Supernatural recently?
Have I ever, Lauren? Every episode gets more, story building action than the last, which is exciting. So I am on season 1, episode 16 at the moment. The episode is called Shadow.
Ooh.
And essentially, the plot of this episode is earlier in the season, maybe around episode 8 or so. Sam, and Dean split up. Sam to go find their father and Dean to go chase a demon. And when Sam was at the train depot, he met this girl who, they kind of hit it off, and he, bitched about Dean a little. And it was revealed soon after that episode that, she was looking for him and she had some potentially nefarious intentions. Well, guess who shows up in this episode? But this girl, and she is there. She has nefarious intentions. It turns out she is, I'm not going to pretend to understand how, friends in a relationship with the servant of the demon that killed their mom. And it's like a shadow demon situation. And so she lures Sam and Dean, who then in turn lure the father who has arrived. Ooh. It was very exciting. Dad is here, aka Denny Duquette. I don't know his name in the show, but he's Denny Duquette.
That's his Grey's Anatomy character, right?
Yes. As a Grey's gal, that's immediately
that's a reference point.
When I see Jeffrey Dean Morgan. And so he's in the episode because it was a trap, and she was trying to trap Sam and Dean in order to trap him. But, they reunited as a family and fought her off. It was great, but she's still out there.
Oh,
so she's still out there, and she fell out a window, but she lived. And I think it may be because she's got some demon action inside her. I don't know. Just a guess. They had to part ways with the dad after. They said it's more dangerous to be with Denny than without Denny. So we'll see what happens. Also, we got some good Sam and Dean kind of just emotional moments, some brother bonding moments. Dean was talking about how they need to always be together as a family and always do this. And Sam very much thought they were going to go find their dad, and then Sam was going to go back to college and live his normal life. And Dean doesn't want him to do that. And just, I love a begrudging family.
Oh, yeah.
And if you'll turn your attention to our little outline doc, which will also be on
I was going to ask, Tumblr. How you put a GIF into our Google Doc, and B, what this was. And now that you made it bigger, I think I can maybe see. Is this how you got your 5th concussion?
Very, actually, whoa, really should have thought of that. That's a great one. So this is from Comic-Con, I want to say 2018. We did a green screen setup where we, people would come through and just make a GIF with us. And Jeffrey Dean Morgan came through to make his GIF, and he said he wanted someone to swing the little ball and chain
mace,
at, so
I
that
believe.
He had something to aim at. The mace, thank you. And so I told him that I would be his, his mace target. So this is a little GIF that someone made of me being Jeffrey's mace target. And I'll also reblog the final result.
We will definitely be posting this because it does look like he is whacking you in the head with this. And I know that it looks inflatable, but
it is inflatable, yes. No Cherokees were harmed in the making of this GIF.
What a perfect cap to a Supernatural update. And I have to ask, what are your first impressions of John Winchester?
Rugged, very attractive, gruff man. Okay. Which, look, I'm getting Pedro Pascal in The Last of Us vibes.
Oh, interesting.
Kind of, unwilling protector kind of dude. Very unfunny. I don't think he's ever told a joke. I don't know if he will in the entire show. He seems very intense, and that's What do you think?
No, just John Winchester's just like a very I don't want to say controversial, but he's like a character that I think a lot of fans, myself included, have strong opinions on that are especially strong given how relatively little of the show the character actually physically appears in. But it's just the more you get to know about the way that Sam and Dean were raised, and the more you get a glimpse into the way that John was a parent, opinions can form.
Okay, so he haunts the show.
Yeah, he haunts the show. That's a great way of putting it.
So my guess is that he wasn't an excellent parent. I just feel like demon hunting probably takes up his whole
you wouldn't take your kids demon hunting?
Yeah, right? Come on.
Coward.
Rude, honestly. Did he show up at show and tell, career day?
Here's a chupacabra corpse or whatever. Speaking of Supernatural, we have a mailbag this week. Yay! So thank you to Tumblr user Shadow of a Cloud for this question. They asked, has there even ever been a week these last few years without Destiel or Supernatural in the top list for ships or TV shows? And I had a gut instinct to this question, but obviously I took it to you, Cherokee, our Tumblr expert and Tumblr inside man. Has Supernatural or Destiel ever not been in the Tumblr top ships at the end of the year? Or top shows or whatever?
No, not only has Supernatural and Destiel ever not been in a year in review, they have been in every single year in review, and every single week that either list has existed has featured Supernatural and Destiel. Generally also, not always, but more often than not in the top 10 as well. If I had more time or wanted to ask someone, I could get someone to calculate the percentage of, how high up Supernatural was. But yeah, and this is actually a thing I've asked myself before, and they have never fallen out, I believe. So we launched Fandometrics in 2015 and the ships list in 2018. And since both, we have had, they're just... They reign supreme on fandom.
It's like particularly impressive when you consider that 2015 is like season 12 of that show or something. Like, it was not like a new hot thing. Like Super Hulock had its day in the sun. Yeah. And yet it was still a juggernaut and continues to be so to this day.
Yeah. And there's just something about Supernatural. It just has, it has this supernatural ability to remain popular on Tumblr. But yeah, I hope that it never falls out of the fandom ranking, and I honestly don't think it ever will.
Yeah. No, I would be very, very surprised. I think the day that it does, is going to mark the end of some sort of internet age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really will. And we hope we don't see that day.
Seriously.
And speaking of ages of the internet, do you have a dashboard confessional to share this week from your archives?
I do. And I feel like this is maybe the first time, maybe not the first time, but one of the most egregious examples of really embodying the name of this segment in terms of the confessional aspect. I've mostly brought funny posts or posts that are indicative of a particular time in my life or a particular time on Tumblr. This is indicative of both of those things, but it's also deeply, deeply embarrassing.
Gosh, well, thank you for sharing it.
Yeah. You know what? We are here to dig up skeletons, and I am not ashamed. So this is a post that I reblogged sometime in the spring of 2016, May of 2016. It is a post of the founding fathers and their various Tumblr sins. Of the things that they would do if they were on Tumblr. And this is the height of Hamilton fandom. I saw Hamilton in October of 2015, and then the cast album came out a month later, and it got absolutely bonkers enormous and had a huge, I would say pretty notorious Tumblr fandom. At some point we'll have to do a show on the Hamilton fandom because a lot of crazy great fandom drama occurred, and it was just a real moment of a lot of very odd behavior toward these historical figures. And I really loved Hamilton. Yes. And I still do. I still think it's a great musical. And I also went to William and Mary for college, which is in Colonial Williamsburg, and so I spent 4 years of my life very entrenched in founding father stuff. So anyway, this is a list of the founding fathers and the various things that they would do on Tumblr that would be bad. So Benjamin Franklin doesn't tag as not safe for work. Alexander Hamilton gets into arguments with blatant trolls. Thomas Jefferson runs an X for Real Justice account. John Adams sends himself anonymous praise. James Madison goes on long tag rants, which is what I do, to be fair. So I guess James Madison and I do that. Have that in common. James Monroe reblogs things tagged don't reblog. Aaron Burr vague blogs. John Hancock comments on anything he reblogs with just a lol or say it louder for the people in the back. George Washington uses WordPress. So thank you to Tumblr user Azuladogia for your incredible founding father headcanons of what they would be like on Tumblr. And, thank you to 2016 Lauren, who reblogged this in full-throated fandom support.
I love it. I also was a very active member of the Hamilton fandom. Really listened to that soundtrack nonstop. And actually went to see Hamilton in the middle of a workday. Got my boss's approval. Yes. I bought last-minute matinee tickets, and me and a coworker went and saw the
I mean, that's
Wednesday
research.
matinee.
That's research for your job.
It was a great New York City moment in my early days working there.
I love that. All right, Cherokee, how about you? What did you dredge up from the archives?
Okay, so I have two. One that just really makes me laugh, and I think it's especially perfect for this because it's funnier when read out loud. And the second is, well, I'll get to the second, but the first is a text post. The poster is Lorna Crowley. So Lorna Crowley said, okay, quick question. Is the phrase going to Chipotle with Aristotle funnier if you mispronounce Chipotle or Aristotle? So going to Chipotle with Aristotle or going to Chipotle with Aristotle
or with
wait
no Chipotle
Chipotle going to Chipotle with Aristotle or going to Chipotle with Aristotle.
All right, we are absolutely going to do a poll on this on our Tumblr. But Cherokee, what was your vote for? Which is funnier to you?
I think when you mispronounce Aristotle in the vein of Chipotle. What about you?
I'm totally with you. Aristotle is just funny.
Aristotle. I love it. Oh, gosh. And I reblogged that one in May 2016. And this other post, also from May 2016, is made by one of our incredible Tumblr team members. She actually hired me as an intern and is still at Tumblr as our head copywriter. And this is Deniman. Which is, I'm really having some part. Can you pronounce it? Deniman.
Demonem. Wait.
Denim. This is denim, and it is M&M, but if his skin was denim. It's a really beautiful work of art.
It's very impressive.
Made by one of our incredibly talented Tumblr team members. So I also had to share Denim with you.
Thank you so much. These are both beautiful artifacts.
And now for a short app break. And when we come back, we will be discussing our main topic, Breaking Bad.
This week's Tumblr vibe is getting your heart lovingly punched out by a TV show and then going to your favorite website to lose your mind with all of your friends.
Alrighty, we are back and we are talking about Breaking Bad, a show that is hugely popular on Tumblr that I have only seen the first season of about 8 years ago. I think I watched the first season. So I have flashes. We just talked about my short-term memory. I have a long enough short-term memory to know we discussed that earlier. So you can get an idea of how much of that I've retained beyond a bathtub breaking through a ceiling, I think at some point.
Yes, that does happen.
Yeah, right? See, look at that. Photographic memory almost. So to start off, what's your relationship with Breaking Bad, the show, Breaking Bad, the fandom? How and did you watch it while it was on air, etc.?
Yeah, so I started watching Breaking Bad. This would have been 2013, I think. I marathoned the first 4.5 seasons in time to watch. They split season 5 into 2 parts. And so I watched the second half of season 5, the sort of the last, 6 to 8 episodes of the show live. So yeah, I mean, I've been in sort of the Breaking Bad fandom since at least, the last season. And I really love the show. And I think that it absolutely has earned its title as one of the greatest shows of the last 20 years. But I also it was a show that I really deeply loved, that I thought a lot about, that I still think a lot about, that I've rewatched bits of throughout the years. But I wouldn't necessarily say that I've ever been really involved in the fandom. And I think what's so interesting about the way that it's sort of crossed my dash on Tumblr is sort of in the form of people who've definitely not seen Breaking Bad talking about Breaking Bad in sort of a shitpost format. And then everybody joking about how that like the version of Breaking Bad that people are talking about on Tumblr is like very different from the actual show, which is why I wanted to do it as a topic, because you haven't seen all of it. I was like very curious what your sort of interfacing with it has been, because for me, seeing all those posts is like very funny because I have the context for what the show is. But for somebody who hasn't seen the whole show, I wonder if those posts come through as like, wait, did this actually happen in the show? Or is this, I just feel like there's a lot of like real goofiness to the Breaking Bad fandom on Tumblr, which is so strange given the content of the show, even though the show definitely does have sort of like a sense of humor to it and it's sort of a dark like comedy edge to it. I would not necessarily consider it a entirely goofy show.
Yeah. But the way that Tumblr portrays it, absolutely
there's a real silliness.
Yeah, so silly. I actually put, my first impression of the way that Tumblr treats this show is like is as a buddy comedy, the Breaking Buds, if you will. But yeah, I really feel like it's just a story of two best friends, Aaron Paul and Walter White, having little shenanigans, kind of like a Three Stooges kind of thing. If you involve Saul, that's my impression of it.
I love that. Like I love that it comes across as a buddy comedy, because that's not wrong, but it's also not at all accurate. What else? Like if you had to describe sort of like the way that Tumblr sees these characters, or like the way that Tumblr views like the relationships, like are there ships that you encountered? Are there like particular favorites in terms of characters that people despise? Like where, what were you seeing out there in the wild?
So everyone is obsessed with Saul in just a really deep way. Saul has been baby girlified in a pretty extreme sense. That's
totally
really what came across pretty intensely. And also just really, I really saw Saul with a lot of kawaii kind of imagery.
Yes.
I just don't, I just think that's hilarious, because how did that happen? I don't know. I love Tumblr. And then, so my other impression that came across is Jesse is a poor little meow meow. He is everyone's favorite that everyone in the show is kind of always trying to protect, but maybe also hates. And then Walter White, I think I would say maybe is a sexy man. And he and Jesse have a relationship that I cannot as of yet tell if it is shipped or not. I think it is. I think it may be my impression is that there's a big split in the fandom of people who feel that way, who would ship Jesse and Walter and who would not, because I kind of see them as more like having like a father-son kind of relationship based on and then I think, those are kind of, what else did I favorite? I went through and I scrolled for so long on the Breaking Bad tag, it told me there was no more content.
Oh my God.
Which I feel...
You did it. You found the bottom of Tumblr.
Look, I do my research.
That's amazing.
So I saw this thing that, I found a post and I'm very confused by it. It says swag is for T-boys, class is for T-men. What? Do you know?
So I do know. And actually one of the things in my notes was just Jesse Pinkman's T-boy swag. Because this is something that is first of all, okay, gosh, there's so much in there that I want to address. I think that what's so interesting hearing you talk about this from the outsider's perspective is like you are both describing the fandom as I have seen it as well as a Tumblr user, but also how I, as a Breaking Bad fan, view this show, where like Jesse Pinkman is 100% my poor little meow meow. Like he is just, I want to protect him. He's done nothing wrong in his life ever, even though he definitely has. And Walter White is, I like the fact that like, you couldn't tell if he was like a sexy man or if people love him or hate him. I think that that's like exactly where I fall on Walter White, where I'm like, he's a great character. I hate his guts, but also I would watch, many more seasons of him being terrible. And then their relationship, that's the question, isn't it? There's a post that I saw recently that was just not romantic, not platonic, but a secret third thing. So devoted the lines blur. And I was like, that sort of describes them, right? Like they are father son, but there also is like a weird, it's
an energy.
Yeah, it's a completely uncategorizable dynamic. I did just go looking because I was very, very curious. There's about 3,000 works on AO3 for Breaking Bad, and only 773 of them are Jesse, Walt, like as a ship. So it's definitely not the majority of the fandom. It's not a driving force for people to write fic necessarily. And yeah, and there's 215 fics that are categorized as Jesse Pinkman and Walter White, which, usually denotes a relationship, but just not a romantic one.
Yeah.
But that also, I think, is so inherent in just the writing fic for the show in general that, like, a lot of people probably wouldn't tag that.
So who is shipped on the show?
I mean, it's funny, like,
or is it not a shippable? Is it not a shippy show?
It's not a really shippy show. Definitely Jesse and his canonical girlfriend, played by Kristen Ritter, like, are a ship that I think people have, and they've got some fics on AO3 as well. But I think that it's really more about, like, the fucked up, uncategorizable dynamics between all of these people. I haven't watched Better Call Saul yet, but it is now over, and the final bit of the season just got released on Netflix, and so there's been like a new wave of Better Call Saul content. And I know that Saul and Kim on that show is a ship that people feel like very passionately about, but in Breaking Bad, a lot less so, I would say. So
got it.
To circle back to the T-Boy swag versus T-Man class.
Yes.
So I think I maybe understand the origin of this, or at least an origin point for this, because I sort of remember encountering it many years ago. But for whatever reason, Jesse Pinkman, the character played by Aaron Paul in Breaking Bad, has become a trans icon. Like, there is just this pretty well-established headcanon that Jesse is a trans man. And as far as, like, my experience with that headcanon goes, I think the first sort of reference I remember seeing to it was some sort of thread around the fact that even though they live in Arizona, which is, one of the hottest places in America, Jesse's always wearing, like, these huge oversized shirts and these massive sweatshirts and beanies, and just, like, he's always dressed like he's ready to go, like, snowboarding, right? But he lives in the desert.
Yeah.
And someone made a joke about, like, yeah, I mean, it's not about being comfortable temperature-wise. It's about the fact that Jesse's a trans man and is, like, figuring out his style, and so is wearing a lot of baggy clothing. Because I guess that's a thing. That seemed to be an experience that resonated with a lot of trans men on Tumblr, where, when they're first transitioning, they are figuring out, what they feel right in terms of clothing. And that just sort of took off. Like, that was the first reference I remember seeing to it. And it being, like, both Jesse's styling choices in the show, and then also just the way that, like, Aaron Paul is just, like, a beloved, person, and the fact that he and Bryan Cranston have this, like, funny relationship that also sort of, like, crosses these boundaries of, like, what are they? So Jesse Pinkman is, like, this trans icon, and so he has T-Boy swag. And then the T-Man class thing is, I believe that a lot of people headcanon Gus Fring, who's one of the main villains. Some people headcanon Gus Fring as being a trans man as well, but he dresses in, like, very nice suits all the time, and so it's like he's got T-Man class, whereas, like, Jesse's still a boy and he's got swag. And, to be totally clear, I'm not a trans man. I am just, like, speaking to, like, what I've seen on Tumblr. I obviously cannot speak to the experience. But I love it. It's one of my favorite things about the Breaking Bad fandom, the fact that Jesse Pinkman is, like, this trans icon.
Okay, I was actually going to ask about that because I did favorite some posts about Jesse Pinkman being a trans icon and Breaking Bad having trans symbolism. Yeah. My favorite one, I'll drop in the chat, is a post of the trans flag, and it has Jesse Pinkman with pink in all caps, Walter White with white in all caps, and the blue in all caps meth they cook, and him pointing to building the trans flag.
It's right
and
there.
It says for anyone still doubting the obvious transgender symbolism in Breaking Bad. Which I love.
It's so good. And, like, I would have to, watch the show again. Oh, there is, I should say, actually, there is one canon moment in Breaking Bad that also, like, lends itself to this sort of trans symbolism. It's, like, kind of the only moment that I've seen talked about, and the only moment that I can remember. But Jesse is talking with his girlfriend about this comic that he's drawing called Kangaman, about a kangaroo who's, like, a superhero. And he's talking about, how Kangaman has something in his pouch or what have you. And his girlfriend is like, well, only female kangaroos have pouches. So, like, so Kangaman like wouldn't have a pouch, and Jesse's basically like, no, he does. He's Kangaman and he has a pouch, sort of suggesting that this kangaroo is a trans kangaroo.
Yeah.
And that Jesse's like writing this like superhero comic about a trans kangaroo, which I love. And like, absolutely, why not? As far as I can tell, like, I don't know that I've seen anybody. I don't know what you saw. You seem to have seen all of the Breaking Bad content that there is.
Yeah.
But I don't know that I saw anybody doing like a real serious analysis of like trans symbolism in Breaking Bad. I think it's more about just like the feeling that Jesse Pinkman gives people, and the fact that like Aaron, and the fact that Aaron Paul and Bryan Cranston like seem like such like great allies, and they're so supportive of like how weird their fandom is and stuff, that like it just feels like a safe space to have these headcanons. I love it. It makes me very happy.
Sorry, Kanga Man or Kanga Boy? I immediately.
He's Kanga Man, I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
He's Kanga Man.
Kanga Man.
Did you see anyone make Kanga Man content on Tumblr? Did anyone make the Kanga Man comic?
I haven't seen any, but surely somebody has had to have at least drawn fan art of Kanga Man.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can find
There's got to be some Kanga fans.
There's got to be some Kanga fans. The other headcanon that I really enjoy around trans Jesse is the idea that like Walt, like the sort of the alternate, the AU version of Breaking Bad, where it's not that Walt has cancer, but it's that Jesse can't pay for top surgery. And so Walter White starts making meth so he can like pay for his best friend's top surgery, which I just really love.
You know what? I like that better.
Okay, I found the post from, this is real dialogue from the show, to be clear. So it's we'll reblog this on dashboarddiaries.tumblr.com, a photo set from the show Breaking Bad with this discussion that I just described between Jesse and his girlfriend about Kangaman being a dude with a pouch. Delightful.
I love it. Great. I gotta watch this show.
You do. And before you do and find out what is truly canon, I thought we'd play a quick game of fanon versus canon.
So
I'm gonna read some statements to you, and you're gonna tell me if they are fanon or canon. So, first, Jesse Pinkman never killed anyone.
Gosh, I want to say that's fanon.
That is fanon. I'm pretty sure. Actually, I'm having a hard time remembering. But yes, that is fanon. People like to say he never killed anyone because he's our poor little meow meow, but he definitely has.
Okay. Right? Okay, good. That's what I was thinking. Ooh, yay. I love getting things right.
All right, next one. Jesse uses the word Kafka-esque.
Canon.
You are right.
Yes.
Gus Fring, owner of Los Pollo Hermanos, is gay.
Fanon.
So that is actually canon, it turns out.
Canon.
Which I learned by Googling it because I saw some references to it, because that's actually something that is established in Better Call Saul. So it is technically canon. Gus Fring is gay. And he's got that T-man class.
Love to see it.
Mike is Jesse's dad.
Mike.
I was going to say he's the bald man, but there's 3 of them. So that doesn't actually narrow things down. He's the one with the scowl all the time.
The scowling guy. You know what? I'm going to say canon.
That's fanon. All right, I got 2 more. Walter White does drugs. At some point. At some point. Fanon?
Fanon.
Canon. He does smoke a joint.
Walter!
All right, last one. Jesse asks Walter to go-karting with him.
Canon.
Yes, that is canon. And Walter says
I saw
no.
that on Tumblr. I'll go karting with you.
I'll go karting with Jesse Pinkman.
Right?
And that is Breaking Bad in a nutshell.
Fantastic. Well, a show that I will now be watching, I guess. We'll follow it up after my Supernatural watch.
Yes, exactly. We'll have you watching TV shows until the heat of the universe.
Yeah, right? Especially on a week-to-week basis. Oh my God, the amount of time it would take. With that, we're on over, I believe, to our feels corner. What has you in your feels this week, Lauren?
I hate to bring a Star Wars thing again, but like I am just like deep in the trenches on my Star Wars feels. Like it has turned into like full-blown hyperfixation obsession over the past 2 months. And this has certainly not been helped by the fact that Jedi Survivor, the long-awaited follow-up to Jedi Fallen Order, a video game that came out several years ago, is finally out. I spent this weekend playing many more hours of it than I should, and I'm loving it. I also read the novel that takes place between the first game and the second game. I finished it last week in sort of preparation for the new game. And I just have so many found family feels. And I have some shipping feels that like the game, I'm only halfway through the game, not even actually. But like there was like one moment in the game so far where I was like, oh gosh, like this is, could it be happening? So I'm holding out hope for my ship. The hope is small, but there is hope. And I'm just really, really enjoying the experience of playing this game. It's really immersing me in the world of Star Wars, which feels like such a luxury, right? Because it's like when we spiral about something and when, we are getting really into a TV show or a book, I think I've talked about this before, like it's such a treat to have so much content available to you.
Yeah.
And obviously there's like so much Star Wars content. Like I've barely scratched the surface of the books, and there's I've seen all of the like film and TV shows now, but there's so many books and so many games and various things. But there's something about like an open world video game that just like brings all of that immersion to the next level. And so it's got me really in my feels, both about Star Wars and about just like the magic of video games, because I love video games so much. So that's where I'm at. What about you, Cherokee?
I am currently in my feels about Succession, and specifically Tom Shiv.
Oh, yes.
Look, I have been a Tom Shiv truther for a while. I think they're both so messed up and meant for each other because they're both just so ridiculously messed up. I love them. I loved Bitey this week. Bitey was a big moment.
The perfect encapsulation of their relationship.
Like, truly so perfect. I screamed. I loved it. So I'm really in my feels about that this week. And I shared a post in here about Tom Wamsgams, my little boy, Tom Wamsgams. This post is from Waystar Royco, and it says, Tom, this one says Tom's Wamsgans Tom's Wamsgans could do I love you most ardently, but Mr. Darcy could never do Bitey.
They're not wrong.
I agree.
They're not wrong. I love that.
Oh my God.
Matthew McFadden, The Range. It's just incredible.
Truly, an artist.
In terms of Tom Shiv, we've got like 4 more episodes until the end of the series. Do you want them to like when you're like in your shipping of them, like do you want them to destroy each other or to end up happy together, or some combination of both?
A secret third thing.
Secret third thing.
Honestly though, because like I want them to end up happy together and team up to destroy others.
Oh, that's a good one. I like it.
Yeah.
That's a good secret third thing.
Greg is their little minion.
Yes.
Greg, by the way, has been stepping up his game. He's turning into a manipulative little guy.
He really is.
I was watching this episode. I was like, look at these seeds he's sewing. Oh my God, go off, Greg.
Can't wait to see how it all comes together.
Yeah, me too. Gonna be interesting. Do you think Shiv is scheming with Alexander Skarsgård for some kind of hostile takeover because she feels like her brothers have kind of left her out in the cold?
I think so, and it'll just be a matter of like whether or not she actually goes through with any of it. What do you think?
I think she is, and I kind of hope she does, because honestly, Kendall and Roman are always pushing her out,
and they were both in
definitely
prime form this week. I mean, good Lord.
Yeah. Seriously, so much happening there. So
much.
Yeah. Look, again, pro Shiv, team Shiv. And look, I love the whole family. I'm sure they can be, figureheads of some sort.
Decorative wall
pieces. They can be little Greglets. But yeah, can't believe it's coming to an end.
I know. I can't wait. I can't wait to see how it all ends.
Yeah, me too. And with that, I think this is how this all ends.
Yeah.
For this week. So I am Cherokee McAnelly, and you can find me at overshares.tumblr.com.
And I'm Lauren Shippen, and you can find me at theLaurenShippen.tumblr.com.
This has been Dashboard Diaries, and
may your anons always be loving,
your dash always refreshed,
your gifts always be loading,
and your ships always canon.
May the fics you're reading always be finished,
and the answers you seek always in the reblogs.
Thanks for scrolling with us.